same as a rock or a tree. They please me. I appreciate them very much in relation to the sky. They did the same thing with my flowers. Sensual, sexual body parts. Well, flowers are wonderful and deep. I simply painted what I saw. I searched the interior of the flower, which to me is as beautiful as the exterior, and that's what I painted. They asked me, why do you make your flowers so large? And I said, you don't ask me why I make my rivers so small. I grow tired of these questions. That's why I did the Elizabeth Arden flowers, to prove I could do a large mural, something big everyone could see, something they wouldn't miss even if they wanted to. I had another large commission with the Museum of Modern Art, but that fell apart, mostly because of Alfred's interference. And the walls, preparations were too poor for me to paint on. The plaster kept falling off in bits and pieces, and finally I gave it up. Alfred was relieved. Has Juan arrived yet? No? Well, I expect he'll be here for dinner. He went to Phoenix on business. I think it's that girl again. Well, why shouldn't he have his friends? I've had him around since 1973. It would be hard to do without him. I've grown to care for him as a son or a friend. Of course, the critics and the gossips love to make fun of the older artist and the young protege. Someone even suggested we were secretly married. Can you imagine? Would you marry someone 60 years younger than yourself? It's ridiculous. He just walked up to the door of the ranch one day and asked if I needed any work done. Another long-haired vagabond searching. He'd been working for the Presbyterians over at the Dude Ranch. Oh, was I angry with Arthur Pack for giving that land to a church group. A dude ranch was bad enough. I considered it one of the lower forms of life. But I grew to like some of the people who came there, and in time I liked the Presbyterians. They left me alone, that's what I wanted. Jim Hall, the foreman, and Ruth became my good friends. Oh, we've had our spats, but mostly I like them. I expect it was them that sent Juan on over. Finally, after a while, I hired him to do odd jobs, and now he works for me full-time. He does my correspondence, crates the paintings, helps set up shows. We do travel together sometimes. He's well-educated and good company. And he's got me working in his pottery studio. It's good to be working at something again. You see, my eyes are going. Can hardly see the mountains anymore. Art has been my life. It would seem strange to do without it. Take care of your eyes. Don't ever take them for granted. When I first came out to New Mexico, I went to Taos. It's just over the mountains away. Mabel Dodge got me coming. Oh, Mabel had a lot of money and knew a lot of people all over. She loved the Southwest and moved to Taos. That was her territory, Taos. Yes, Mabel was wild. She married quite a few times. Her last husband was Tony Lujan, a Taos Indian. He was a wonderful man. We became good friends. I even liked him better than Mabel. He understood how to be alone, even when he was with you. He used to be my guide on horse-packing trips up into the mountains. It was really Tony who showed me the magic of solitude. Mabel didn't like losing people out of her clutches, but her wild seeing over in Taos didn't interest me much after a while. D.H. Lawrence and Frida, his wife. There was a whole gang of them around Mabel. Good people, just not my style. If I had stayed with them, I wouldn't have painted at all. It was just one big party. Truthfully, I think Mabel was a little jealous of my friendship with Tony. She let me know it, but that was fine with me. I was still friends with him. Everyone loved him. He was intelligent and wise. How he could put up with Mabel, I'll never know. But somehow they managed to stay together in spite of her lifestyle. I've known some good people in my day, and those who weren't good were at least interesting. Last Saturday, I had the best time. Juan took me to the Chama River, and we sat and listened to the water. And then he took me to his house in Barranca up the hill. A young couple from Santa Fe joined us on the roof of his house for the sunset. Oh, that's the best place to be, for the perfect ending of a day with fine French wine and bread and cheese. It was delightful. That's one thing I am addicted to. Good wine. Oh, and my beets from the garden. We have the best white flesh peaches on my tree you've ever tasted. Now, sometimes I like my gardening almost as much as my painting. You know, they're almost the same. You make something grow on a plain white canvas, and here in this place is the red earth you fill with colors and designs. I've never felt so fulfilled anyplace else, not even Lake George with its beautiful waters and lush greens. How can anyone not look at my mountains and be thrilled? Majestic mountains and deep, dry auroras that can sweep you away in one flash flood. I've seen it happen. Out of nowhere, the water comes, rains from miles and miles away. These are the things about this place that thrill me. That and the rattlesnakes. I don't like to kill them. But since I've got the dogs, I'm afraid they'll get bitten. Used to be the rattlers, and I got along well. They'd sleep by the corner of the fireplace. I have a perfectly coiled snake skeleton in a glass jar. It's exceptional. What a find that was. Thrilled me as much as finding a gold nugget. Have you seen the book Juan and I put together? I wrote the text, and it has prints of almost all my paintings. I'm quite proud of it, but I couldn't have done it without Juan's help. In spite of what people have said of him in the past, he's very important to me. There hasn't been anyone in a long time that I've liked as much or worked as well with. I hope he doesn't marry that girl. It will change everything. And it will interfere with his work. And where would they live? In that little house in Barranca? God knows next thing will be children. Well, I guess he'll just have to do what he has to do. Same as Stieglitz had to do what he had to do. Doesn't mean I have to like it. You know, my friend Anita was working on a book about me for many years. She wanted to use the letters we had sent back and forth. Those letters go back 60 years when we were young, in our 20s. Something about it didn't feel right to me. Her perceptions of me were too romanticized for my taste. They aren't really me, just how she saw me.